As cheesy as it may be to say this, everybody has that one game. A game they love so much that replaying it over and over never gets old. Even when that game's flaws get more obvious as time passes, even if a new iteration in the series is objectively better in like many ways, that game still holds a special place in that person's heart. One of those games for me is The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker HD. Look, okay, I know. A lot of people really don't like the HD remaster. A lot of people think it's inferior to the original. I don't, personally. I think both are amazing in their own ways.
I just think that recording a Wii U is a lot easier than recording a GameCube, and it looks much nicer for videos anyway. So, yeah.
Getting a Wii U for Christmas more than a decade ago, which, by the way, Jesus Christ, I was more than excited to play it. Seeing the trailer for Wind Waker HD that summer made me nostalgic for the GameCube era of gaming, where Wind Waker, Mario Sunshine, Luigi's Mansion, they look so fun, but I only ever saw them on store shelves. I never actually got the chance to play them. Well, needless to say, the moment I started playing that Christmas morning, I was hooked, and I would be for the rest of my life. This is why Wind Waker is my favorite game of all time. Right from the beginning, Wind Waker sets up legendary expectations with an intro going over the events of Ocarina of Time. The music sets the mood, the atmosphere is foreboding. It shows the severity of Ganon's power and the destruction he creates. Just when all hope is lost, a hero shows up to save the day in one of the best music cues ever. This intro, man, this shit is powerful. It's awesome. Not only does it tell a tale of despair and loss, it also tells a tale of hope. Hope that a great hero will rise once again to defeat Ganon once he's eventually resurrected like he usually is in these games. And not only that, the great thing is it's actually perfectly contrasted with the bright, colorful, beautiful Outset Island that we would start the game on. It's perfect. This is such an amazing intro. I love it so much. I'm not going to go over every aspect of the game and like tell you every single little thing that makes it so amazing. I'm going to just go over a few things that are noteworthy, and I highly recommend that you play the game yourself to get the full experience. It's so good. Unfortunately, you can only really play it on a Wii U or GameCube. You could emulate them. I wouldn't recommend it. Nintendo's kind of poopy about it. So, anyway, we're going to move on. The next point I want to get into is covering Link, and why I think this Link in Wind Waker is the best Link out of any of the Links in any of the Zelda games, at least story-wise. Well, and also design-wise. This Link is perfect to me. So, Link is the hero, right? We all know this. Even if you've never played a Zelda game before, you know Link is the hero. So what makes this version of Link the best? Well, in my opinion, it's the Spider-Man approach to heroism. What do I mean by this? Well, just like how anybody could be bitten by the spider and become Spider-Man, Wind Waker makes it so that Link in this game is not connected to any other version of Link at all, and is not connected to the royal family or its past. He is his own dude. Because Link in this game isn't destined to be a hero, he has to work toward getting the Triforce, and more importantly, the title of hero the hard way. Like, in Ocarina of Time, Link is straight up told that the fate of the world rests in his hands from the very beginning, and the Great Deku Tree literally says it's his destiny to save Hyrule. In Link to the Past, Link is told that he has some sort of connection to Zelda by his uncle. It's not really explained, but he's connected to Zelda in some way. In Twilight Princess, Link has the Triforce on the back of his hand. Gee, I wonder why that is. I'm not saying that these choices for setting up a hero are done poorly. All I'm saying is I think Wind Waker did it the best out of all of the Zelda games, in my opinion. And here's why. Wind Waker isn't about saving the princess like most Zelda games, at least not initially. Wind Waker starts off by a big ass bird flying in to kidnap Link's little sister, Errol. Before this, Link was just another kid on the island, celebrating his birthday, getting some new fancy duds, and getting a shit ton of money from this lady by giving her pigs. The moment that Link becomes a hero isn't when the game starts or when a character tells him that he's destined to be one or that he should be a hero. Link chooses to be a hero in this scene here. The moment his sister is kidnapped, Link wants to spring into action and venture into the Great Sea to rescue her. Not a princess, nor the land itself, but his sister. He doesn't give two shits about Hyrule because he doesn't know about Hyrule. He doesn't care about that. Like, even when the King of Red Lions, like, fills him in on all the hardships he's about to face and all the terrible shit that Ganondorf has done, and like, oh, he's an evil dude, and he's really, really scary looking, Link doesn't care. He wants to save his sister. And I think that is perfect for a hero story. Errol is Link's family. They're obviously really close. So the fact that this is what makes Link want to be a hero in this game is so endearing. Especially because Majora's Mask was so different in its storytelling, being that Zelda wasn't even in the game really. And the fact that the fiasco with Wind Waker's Space World announcement and like the following E3, reveals, people did not know what to expect from this game at all. Especially because, of course, visually it looked so different and everyone touted it as, Zelda, because it was cell shaded. Just really stupid. Side tangent from editing me. Like, I mean, obviously, hindsight's 2020, but like, dude, Zelda was never realistic. Even the demo doesn't look realistic. So it's like, dude, does this look realistic or this look realistic? No, Zelda has never been realistic. And eventually when people got a more realistic looking Zelda, people didn't like it. People dogging on the graphics of this game just really hurts because ironically, it's the thing that makes it stand out and actually hold up better than most games from that era do, right? Like, the limitations of the hardware, the blocky looking characters, it lends to the art style so well versus Twilight Princess, which in my opinion doesn't hold up so well visually. It still looks great, especially the HD remaster, but Wind Waker is the clear winner in terms of the visuals. It looks amazing. Still, 20 years later. That's all. So the fact that it started off as this non-traditional Zelda story was super important to making it stand out, and actually still makes it stand out to this day. Like I said, the reason for Link adventuring isn't because of Princess Zelda and Hyrule, it's because he wants to save his sister and will do anything to make it happen. He isn't told to do it, he wants to do it. I mean, how badass is that? Seeing the cutscene of Link confronting his grandma about the shield is still so sad, and it still shows how he cares so much about his family. And unlike the previous games, Link can actually show true emotion this time. It's not limited by hardware. This really sad scene is followed up by yet another really sad scene, where Link goes off to save his sister, and he looks over at the balcony where his house is, and he sees his grandma is watching. And then he does one final wave goodbye. Oh my god, dude. It's so sad. Sure, the game does eventually become a traditional Zelda game where Link has to save Hyrule, save Zelda, whatever. But all I'm saying is that it's important that it starts off so different, because it really shakes up your expectations. And with that, we're going to switch up to another amazing aspect of Wind Waker. It's gameplay. Let's address the elephant in the room. The main gripe that people have with Wind Waker is the sailing. It takes a long time, there's seemingly nothing to do, you just wait to sail to your destination, and this makes it quote-unquote boring. This is the main reason why this game is shat on so frequently. This being said though, I love sailing in this game. Like, I actually love it. It gives you plenty of time to wonder about the place you were going to, you know, what it would entail. Like, dude, the first time I went to the Forest Haven, like, when I started sailing over there, I was like, oh my god, how is this dungeon gonna be? I know it's gonna be a forest, but what's it gonna look like? It gave you plenty of time to wonder about what it would be. And that makes it so perfect, at least to me. Sailing even has a few mini games strewn about, like the barrels you have to sail in between, which starts up a rupee game, which is an easy way to get money early on in the game. It's such a fun way to traverse the ocean, and it's marginally different from the horses that we were accustomed to in the previous two games, or just, you know, running by yourself. Sure. I think it's a cool way to traverse the land. And you could easily just go, oh, look, there's an island. Let me go over there and see what's going on over here. Or you can go like, oh, look at this sunken treasure. Let me try to get it while being blasted by a bunch of fucking bombs being shot at me. You know what I mean? Like, that kind of stuff is fun to me. Right? I don't know. I think it's fun. Another issue that people have with Wind Waker is the infamous Triforce quest at the end of the game. It's widely known that Wind Waker ran out of development time, so a few dungeons from the end of the game were scrapped and reused for future games like Twilight Princess. What got put in its place was the Triforce quest, where Link has to scour the Great Sea and piece together the Triforce of Courage. Many people see this as a reason to hate the game, touting it as tedious and sometimes even cryptic as to what you're supposed to do and where you're supposed to go, but I kind of love it. Like, call me crazy, but the Triforce quest, it ends up feeling appropriate when placed within the context of the story. Remember, this Link is not related to any other Link. He doesn't get the privilege of being called a hero just because he has a tattoo of the Triforce on his hand or is told that he's destined to be a hero by the tree. He earns this title himself by piecing together the Triforce of Courage, which is how he ends up passing the god's test or whatever. I like how it also makes the player have to explore other islands, you know, rather than just going to the main ones that you would go to over and over and over and over again. You have to explore, get out there, find out information about where you're supposed to go. And it's not that cryptic. I mean, it's a kid's game. You really think it's going to be that cryptic? Another reason why I love the Triforce quest, a lot of people don't really see it this way, but it's a perfect callback to the first Zelda game, where Link had to piece together the Triforce to enter level 9 to save Hyrule and eventually beating the game. So no, the Triforce quest is not stupid, it's actually really cool, and considering that this was kind of a last-minute replacement for literal dungeons worth of content, they did a great job at making you feel like you're accomplishing something here, rather than just boring filler. I mean, I don't know. I love the Triforce quest. I've always loved it. I always thought it was really cool. So that's just my personal opinion. One aspect that was greatly improved upon going from the N64 Zeldas to the newer ones was combat. For the N64, I'd say that the combat in both Ocarina and Majora actually still holds up pretty well. Like, compare that to most of the games that came out at the time, they hold up really well. But it isn't perfect. Being that there's no controllable camera, this can make certain elements of the game harder, like not being able to fully see where the enemies are at all times. You know, I mean, Z-targeting in the older games work, but Wind Waker and Twilight Princess handle it much better since they're newer games, obviously. Pair this with the controllable camera, and combat finally feels amazing and looks really cinematic. It looks awesome. Link in this game kicks so much ass, it's unbelievable. The new parry mechanic not only looks really cool, but it gives the player a new way to counterattack enemies. Like, if you're not 100% confident in your ability to just rush in and just spam your sword trying to win, you can always bait them into attacking first and then doing a parry attack, which works and it looks really cool. It's awesome. I even love how they add a sound effect every time you hit something with the sword. It just makes it feel so much more impactful. And it can even be used to judge if an enemy got hit by another enemy off screen, which is another new feature in this game that's really cool. These little touches sprinkled throughout the game make it special. But what I also love is that certain enemies have certain weaknesses. Like, take these little peahats, for example. They're kind of a pain in the ass to deal with in the beginning of the Forest Haven, and the leaf isn't that effective toward taking them out. But when you get the boomerang, though, life gets less sucky. Same with the Deku Babas. That's weird. Deku Babas? Early on, you can use the stick that a dead one drops to take out the others easily, but this is risky because you have to get really close to do so. With the boomerang, though, lots of enemies can be defeated quickly with different items, so it's always fun to experiment and see which enemies are weaker to which items, and just which items you like using more, to be honest. Link can even learn a new move in the game called Hurricane Spin, which isn't as good as it may look, admittedly, but against Jahala? Okay. Sure. Hurricane Spin makes this boss a lot more tolerable. It's not a great boss by any means, but it's a lot more tolerable. And if ever I'm at this part of the game, I always make sure to get the Hurricane Spin just for this boss alone. It's still pretty cool that Wind Waker let you learn a new move, which, wasn't really a thing in Ocarina Majora, and they, of course, greatly improved upon this in Twilight Princess and so on, but Wind Waker did it first in 3D games. Speaking of this boss, and of course Molgera, which we'll get to later, I love how the Master Sword has to be powered back up in this game. As a kid, this blew my mind because, I worked so hard to get the Master Sword in the first place, and yet you're telling me that it can get even more powerful? That it wasn't powerful enough? Seeing it get all, shiny and shit with a Triforce engraved on it was so cool as a kid. And it really made me feel like I was actually earning something, rather than just having it and then continuing to have it throughout the game. It actually changes as you go throughout the game. It's really cool. Dude, I'm just gonna take a minute to gush about the music. The music in Wind Waker is phenomenal. It is just fucking phenomenal. Whether you're playing the GameCube original or the Wii U remaster, the music is so fucking good, dude. Oh my god. I'm not gonna go over every single track in the game because, like I said, this video would be hours long, but I am going to go over a few of my favorites, like the Great Sea theme, which is the best overworld theme in any game ever. I don't give a fuck what you say, it is so good. The moment that nighttime shifts over to morning and the music kicks in right as you start sailing again, beautiful, just fucking beautiful. Later in the game, a creepy rendition of the Great Sea theme plays, which takes place after a curse is set in the overworld. It gives a feeling of desperation to dispel the curse, and perfectly invokes the sense of running against the clock to do so. I also love how Ganondorf's theme is injected into it. It makes it feel even more foreboding and evil. Molgera. That's all I need to say. Molgera. That's it. Just listen to it in the background. Here you go. Lastly, Ganondorf's battle music is the best boss music in any game ever. I don't give a fuck. This theme slaps so fucking hard, which actually leads into what I want to discuss next. The moment I stepped foot in Ganondorf's tower for the first time, I got chills. As a kid, it was intimidating. It was scary. It's actually kind of funny because when I got to the doors of the puppet bosses, I thought that I had reached the final boss. But nope. There was still more game left to go. By the way, look at this shit. Jesus Christ. I'm surprised I didn't get fucking nightmares. I love how in the cutscene for the final boss, the king prevents Ganondorf from using the Triforce, and Ganon just laughs. The falling water surrounds you as Hyrule is being flooded, and then the final battle finally starts. It's imposing seeing a huge Ganondorf just jump over to you like it's nothing. with 2 huge-ass swords in hand. Another great thing was Zelda actually helps you out during the fight, rather than just her screaming and telling you to hurry and get the sword that you accidentally dropped, even though it's still in the you still have it. What the fuck? She actually just cold turkey lights Ganondorf up with light arrows. And when she's pimp slapped out of the fight, now shit just got real. No more help, just you and Ganondorf, the bitch ass who kidnapped your sister. Now is your time to get one-on-one revenge. Zelda finally wakes up from her second nap of the game, and, well, now you have to come up with a new strategy. He's learned your tricks, right? Well, that's when this shit happens. This is brutal. Ocarina of Time also ended with a forehead stab, but Ganondorf was just sealed away to the evil realm. Ganondorf here, though, fucking straight up dead. Doesn't show up in Phantom Hourglass, nor Spirit Tracks. It's just, he's just straight up dead. The rest of the ending is all sad because the King of Red Lions remains with the now flooded Hyrule. But, it's still cool that we get a nice ending with all the characters. And even a scene that mimics the first goodbye scene where Aeril waves goodbye to her brother. A perfect ending to a perfect game. So overall, going off script, Wind Waker is amazing. It's underrated, but at the same time it's not, because a lot of people understand that the game is really good, and it's a shame that it kind of just ended up getting buried by so many other Zelda games. It's amazing. It's my favorite game of all time. It has so many aspects that I can just gush over for hours and hours at a time, but I'm not going to make hours and hours and hours long video. It's not gonna happen. So if you watched this far, thank you so much. If I had to close this video out with something, I have to say this: Nintendo, what the fuck are you doing? You put Captain Toad's Treasure Trackers, or whatever the fuck it's called, on the Switch, and on 3DS for that matter. You put goddamn 3D World on there, but not Wind Waker HD. Like, holy shit, dude. Just please put it on there. It makes so much sense. Fuck you, Nintendo.